The Danube Gorge region offers the Romanian foreign tourists the privilege of admiring wonderful places, real creations of nature, but also remarkable man-made achievements. The most interesting and accessible way of seeing all these landmarks is to take part in a short cruise on the Danube, starting from Mraconia Bay. Here the tourists are boarded on small ships, speedboats or colourful picturesque little ships, which take them on a pleasant trip of about 2 hours, giving them the opportunity of feeling the charm of the Danube waterscape. The silhouette of Mraconia Monastery, which seems to float over the water, creates a strong impression over the visitors. This place of worship has 2 dedication days, the Saint Archangels Michael and Gabriel, and the Holy Trinity. The initial church was presumably erected around 1453. In 1967, the place was flooded by the Danube water, following the building of the Iron Gates hydropower station. In 1995, a new brick church was built, shaped as a cross, while in 2008, Mraconia Monastery became a nunnery. After an enjoyable cruise of about 30 minutes, we reach Veterani Dubova cave. The tourists can dock on a bank platform from where access is easy, on a wooden ladder, which takes them to the very entrance of the cave. There can be admired the shapes created by nature while modeling the rocks for thousands of years. From place to place there are dense and small tunnels, whose ends are lost in the dark. This was the first mapped cave in the world, the proofs dating from 1692. It seems, though, that the place was known even from ancient times, being used by the Dacians as an altar dedicated to the god Zamolxis. This point seems to be supported by the fact that at noon the sun rays enter through an opening in the ceiling directly inside. For centuries, the cave was used by the Dacians, Romans, Austrians and Turks as a military observation point. The name of the cave comes from an Austrian general called Veterani, who established his headquarters here for a garrison of 700 imperial soldiers, leading vicious battles against the Turks. After the Iron Gates Dam was commissioned, the Danube level rose, and the lower part of the cave was flooded, so today only the 2 upper galleries can be visited. Following the route on the Danube through the Great Hollows, we reach the entrance of Ponikova Cave. This is the largest cave in the region, being located under Great Chukaru Massif. Its total length is of about 1,600 meters, having 3 galleries situated at different levels. Entrance from the Danube is difficult, the cave being almost entirely flooded. If the water level permits, one can enter a few meters by boat, crossing the entrance dug in the rocks, whose shapes give the impression of a complicated stone architecture. On the way back, we can admire one of the most impressive landmarks of the region, on a rock above the Danube, located on the interior part of Mraconia Bay. It is a huge sculpture in the rock, representing the face of the Dacian king Decibel, a tribute to the lost leader of Free Dacia, before the region fell under the Roman domination. The project was carried out by a team of 12 climbers that carved for 10 years between 1994 and 2004. The dimensions of this work are impressive, being 55 meters high and 25 meters wide, the largest stone sculpture in Europe. The monument was funded by the Romanian tycoon Iosif Constantin Dragan, who could admire the finished work 4 years before his death in 2008. Leaving behind the Danube Gorges and heading towards the northern part of Mehedinti County, we can visit Topolnica Cave, located close to Cireșu village. This cave is the second largest in Romania, its gallery stretching over 24.5 kilometers. But only 11 kilometers are accessible to exploration. The cave is closed to the public, visiting it being allowed only once a year, on the occasion of a local celebration, and under strict supervision. Access for the rest of the year is permitted only for groups of speleologists and researchers, with special approval. Topolnica Cave is mentioned for the first time in the historical documents of 1880 under the name of Marga's Tunnel, being completely explored in 1956 by a professor of Severin called Sever Popescu. The cave stretches on 4 levels and has 5 exits. The best-known gallery is called Emil Rakovica, being one of the most spectacular in the country. The temperature in the cave is constant between 8 and 11 degrees Celsius. It's an extremely vast cave with countless corridors, galleries, and smaller or larger halls that open everywhere, offering a fascinating show to all those who have the opportunity of venturing there. Every year, on August the 15th, when St. Mary's Christian feast is held, the inhabitants of the local port celebrate Navy Day, an occasion to honor the Danube, the sailors, and all the people living by the river. These manifestations are celebrated in all the towns along the Danube, with pleasant surprises in their program for a large audience formed of chance tourists or people who come for this special day every year. One of the most spectacular natural points of interest in the region of Kladovo is Blederia Waterfall, located some 10 kilometers away from Bârza Palanca, at the end of the forest road, which is easily accessible and well maintained. The place is well hidden into a hardwood forest, while the waterfall suddenly appears in a glade surrounded by rocks. The waterfall is impressive, of about 7 meters high, while the foamy water trundles impetuously to flow into the green turquoise lake. In summer, the tourists come here every day to enjoy the show and the coolness of the water. Close to Negotin, the Sicola River, in its way of about 10 kilometers towards the Timok River, has created a wonderful waterfall known as Mokranske Stene, after the neighboring village Mokranie. You can reach it after a 10-15 minutes way on a forest road. The waterfall is spectacular, with many whirling gushes springing from the riverbed and swirling down. Then the streams unite and fall into a lake surrounded by cliffs, and farther on towards the valley. There have been discovered many objects attesting the presence of Roman troops in the region, and one of the caves hidden under the mountain was certainly a secret hideout, known by the natives as the Outlaws' Cave. Located near Slot village, Lazareva Cave is the longest cave that can be visited in Serbia, its galleries being about 9.5 kilometers long. Its entrance, well arranged for tourists, is under a rock at the edge of a canyon deeply dug by the Slotska River. The cave is at an altitude of 290 meters above sea level. There are range alleys for tourists inside of about 800 meters. Its maximum height is of 56 meters. Being carved in limestone, there are many formations that impress us for their beauty and uniqueness, called the Concert Hall, the Well, the Imperial Lodge, the Bats Hall, and so on. The cave also represents an important archaeological site, as there have been discovered here proofs of human presence from the Bronze and Copper Ages, and pottery and tool remains, the oldest dating from 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. There have also been found fossils of large animals that once lived here, such as the bear or the wolf. Tourism has developed gradually, starting with the 19th century, while the cave became a protected area in 1949. Close to the cave, there is another interesting tourist landmark, the Lazarev Canyon. This is the most popular and largest canyon of eastern Serbia, being over 9 kilometers long and between 300 and 500 meters high. Its name comes from Prince Lazar's riders, who stopped here for a time after the Battle of Maritsa in 1371. The canyon is carved in massive limestone rocks and surrounded by mountain peaks of over 1,000 meters. In its narrowest point, the passage is only 7 meters wide, the lateral walls being almost vertical. There are over 70 caves along the canyon. The difficulty of the route is quite high, being about a way of 8 to 9 hours along the main valley, which is in fact a former riverbed, sprinkled with boulders of different sizes. In order to safely cross this way, you need to be quite fit and have the right equipment. It can be done only in summer when it doesn't rain and the valley is completely dry. The landscape is spectacular and unique, so the impression of a tourist is most certainly long-lasting. Bore Lake is an artificially created pond in 1959 by building the dam that collects the water of 3 rivers in the region. It is a particular case of artificial lake which has an irregular shape with oblong shores. It is located some 25 kilometers from Bor town, being the main recreation area for the natives, but also for the tourists of Serbia or even from abroad. Initially, it had an industrial destination in the mining field, but then the area developed quickly from a touristic point of view. Being located in a picturesque natural environment, the lake covers some 30 hectares, while its deepest point is of about 50 meters. In the summertime, the water temperature easily goes to 25 degrees Celsius, ideal for the tourists wishing to cool down. At the same time, the water is extremely clean due to the severe protection measures. in some parts of the lake being even drinkable. The lakeside has been arranged for basking and practicing different sports, and many hotels, villas, restaurants, and other accommodation and recreation facilities have been built. Located close to Ball Lake, Brestovačka Resort is one of the oldest spas in Serbia. It is situated only 8 kilometers away from Bor town, at an altitude of 385 meters, being surrounded by mountain rocks in a region almost completely covered by secular tree forests. There are 10 mineral springs in the middle of the resort that have a temperature between 32 and 40 degrees Celsius, whose water contains diverse chemical and mineral elements, being thus beneficial for curing different illnesses. There are clear proofs that these curing springs have been discovered ever since the Roman Empire, when the thermae were built, used both for treatment and relaxation. The Ottomans preserved the destination of the place and built an imposing construction that can be admired even today, which was used as a Turkish public bath. A powerful development of the resort took place during the reign of Prince Miloš Obrenović, who had a summer residence here, where he used to come together with his wife, Princess Ljubica. Not far from Majdanpek town, going towards Rudna Glava, we can visit the White Spring waterfall, which is a special natural wonder. The road is well marked, but quite difficult, being accessible only on foot. Geological researches have shown that there are 2 large water supplies here, of different ages, placed one above the other. The shape and structure of the waterfall are unique, as more water streams are formed, making their way through sediment and vegetation deposits, which unite into a 300-meter water carpet. Due to its particularly spectacular aspect, the waterfall is one of the most interesting in Serbia, being included on the list of geological monuments. One of the most popular and beloved manifestations in the region is the Golden Cluck Festival, a fishing competition that takes place in Tekia. The competition attracts a large number of participants, both from Serbia and other Danubian states such as Austria, Hungary or Romania. The contest lasts for more days, and each crew is made up of 2 persons who have a fishing boat with all the necessary equipment. Fishing is done using one of the traditional methods, that is, the cluck. It is a spectacular technique, but quite difficult to use for those unfamiliar with it, which is very efficient in catching catfish. The fishermen boats take positions in the area of the great hollows and small hollows, where there are the best places for big catches. When the competition ends, the award ceremony takes place in the small port of Tekia, the crews being met with enthusiasm and curiosity. Finally, everybody, natives, competitors, or simple spectators and tourists, party together, enjoying this feast of the Danube. The International Danubian Tour, or IDT Regatta, is a kayak competition which has been organized every year since 1969, its main objective being to cover the whole course of the Danube along Europe, from Germany to the delta, where the river flows into the Black Sea. The participants coming from all the riparian countries have to demonstrate their ability of running their kayaks throughout those about 2,500 kilometers. In fact, the competition seems to matter no more when you have the occasion to freely float on the Danube water, in a confrontation more with yourself than with the other competitors. The importance of this manifestation is given by an unequaled social and cultural bond that is created and resists with the passing of time among these participants coming from all over Europe. It is commendable how joyfully and full of appetite for life these people, many of them surpassing the third youth, choose to come here to try their forces in a full of sportsmanship, fair play contest, where everybody is a winner. The effort these sportsmen make every year is fully rewarded by the beauty and joy of such a unique adventure.